Hi, welcome to another Power Blast podcast. Should I do P90X again? Hey everyone, Perry Tinsley here, creator of the Power Blast podcast. I'm a health and fitness coach and actually a P90X certified trainer, although I haven't had too many classes. But anyway, I did go and get certified because I absolutely love this program. And I was asking myself recently, should I do P90X again? Because I've done several rounds of it, but that was years ago. So I'm going to kind of give you my little take on why I chose to do it again and what's been kind of happening as a result of it. So I don't know if you've ever done P90X before, or if you've considered doing it, or you just haven't done it in a long time. You're like, oh my gosh, could I ever do that again? Or perhaps I come across a lot of people. Perhaps you tried it and did it for a while and then went, this is too much, or you got sidetracked somehow. I do find sometimes people get a little sidetracked after they get done with the first couple of phases. So with this program, just kind of give you a little back history if you don't know my story, and I do want to say I'm so appreciative and grateful that you've tuned into this podcast. Hopefully you can get some value out of it and consider some things for yourself here. So way back when, I had completed a program called Power 90. This is before the P90X days came out, and I had gotten pretty decent results with that program once I decided to go all in and follow it. And later that year, I lost my wife to a tragic car accident. And while I was devastated, I found myself at a crossroad of making a decision. You can go down to just go back to your old ways, be depressed, and just think the world is against you, or choose to work on continuing to improve yourself, make life better, realize that tragic things happen in life, and how you deal with it and how you react to it can make all the difference. And right at that time, Beachbody was sending out these little teaser videos that they were developing a new program that was going to be kind of a follow-up. They were going to call it Power 90X or Power 90 Extreme. And they shortened it to P90X. I don't know if you knew that or not. But I was one of the first customers to get that program. And this was my coping mechanism. I wanted to dig into that program. But I'm going to tell you the truth. When that program, first of all, when I saw what they were doing with this program, I was filled with uncertainty, doubt, lack of confidence that I could handle such a program. I'd never seen anything like it. I hadn't seen so many push-ups and pull-ups. I never did pull-ups before. So there's a lot of things that are like pretty standard now for a lot of people, but we're talking way back in late 2003, early 2004. So I got that program. It arrived on the doorstep, and I bought all the equipment to make sure I had everything. I had a plyometrics mat, and I got a pull-up tower, and I didn't have a lot of extra weight, so I used resistance bands my first round. But I dug into it, and I was very apprehensive when I first went through it. As a matter of fact, every first full week of brand new workouts, I would go through and pace myself just to get the form down and see how it was, how was my body going to react to it. But then once that week was over, I dug full on and full in. And so I got great results. If I had followed maybe the eating plan a little bit better, I probably would have had better results. But I was pretty happy with what I achieved. I submitted my story to Beachbody, and they actually used my story and featured it with a lot of friends that I've come to know in the very first infomercial. I'm gonna get it pointed up here. Is it over here? Yeah. So for those of you that are on the video, you're seeing a little clip of that infomercial from way back in the day. I think it came out maybe 2005, 2006. I don't know. Anyway, so anybody that had known my story, they kind of thought that, they knew that I had lost my wife, and they thought, man, he's really losing weight. And, it's like you don't notice people going through a transformation until, maybe a tragic event or an event happens, or someday you wake up and you're like, whoa, what have you been doing? And so that's what was happening. I was transforming right in front of people's eyes, and people were asking, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm doing this new program. You got to go check it out. It's from Beachbody. It's called P90X. And I'm sending people to the website over and over and over. Now I can send people to my own website and help them get success with P90X. So anyway, fast forward several years, and I had done several rounds of P90X and then done other, Beachbody workout programs and gotten great results with like Insanity. Hammer and Chisel was another big one for me with stunning results. Insanity Asylum. And so over the years, this Power 90 and P90X really instilled in me this lifelong habit of needing to exercise and to always do something. But I'm going to be honest, over the years, there have been times where these workouts are like an hour long, and a lot of times we go, oh, well, I don't have an hour. And so we start to cut corners, and there are some great workout programs where people get phenomenal results with the 10-minute trainer or the 22-minute hardcore or even T25, and make the most of the short amount of time they have to commit to exercise. And I've done those programs and done great. And that's been pretty much my routine. I've kind of focused around the 30-minute time frame. So at the beginning of this year, 2018, as of this recording, at the beginning of this year, I chose to do a program called 80-Day Obsession. And that program, the brand new, there were 80 different workouts in that program, and you just kept going all the way through your 80 days. It actually lasted, I think, about 90 days, but with, one day being your recovery and rest day. But 80 different workouts. But most of the workouts hovered around that hour time frame. And as I'm going through that program, it's absolutely awesome. And I love the fact that it was something brand new every single workout, every single day that you were doing it. You might be doing the same type of exercises, but the makeup of the cast that was on the set, or the things that Autumn was saying, Autumn Calabrese, the trainer, it was just fresh every day. And so that's one of the things that I think sometimes, after several rounds of P90X, it just kind of got burned out with, well, I've heard that joke before. I've heard those comments before. I mean, you for those of you that have done the program, you know what I mean. You start to say the things out loud before Tony or anybody on the set says them, because you've memorized it. You've done it over and over and over. So I decided this kind of renewed my not only my confidence, but my just kind of enthusiasm to get in and do an hour workout again. And so I threw the invitation out there. I asked, a bunch of friends. I'm like, hey, would you like to do P90X with me? Should we do it again? Should we give it a try? And there have been a lot of people. This is the very first time they've ever experienced P90X. For me, I don't know. I mean, I won't say I've done P90X 20 times, but it's probably over 10 rounds at least. And so for me, it's been, I'm only in starting my second week here. So I wanted to jump on here while it's still fresh. This is kind of my little commitment, and to tell you that I'm all in for doing these workouts. And I'm finding just this renewed awesome connection to the people on set. I am now officially older than Tony Horton was when he was doing those workouts. He was always 7 years older than me. Now he's young. He's actually, I think he's 7 years younger than me now. And so that's kind of another cool thing. And as I'm going through, I still remember all the old jokes and all that. But the workouts, I'm able to go through and be very conscious on my form. I'm actually pushing more weight on several of the moves than I was before. Some of the and this might be a testimony to just be having a fitness mindset over the years, but it really has just been super fun. So for those of you that don't know about P90X, every 30 days you're mixing up and changing the different sequence of workouts that you're doing. There's some new workouts that get introduced along the way. So there's 3 phases, and in phase 1 you're doing a set of workouts for 3 weeks, and then there's a recovery week, which is a different set of workouts. And in phase 2 it's a certain set of workouts for and they're different than phase 1, where you're doing those for 3 weeks and then that recovery week. And then in phase 3, you're toggling, flip-flopping the phase 1 and phase 2 weeks, and it will finish with a recovery week in there. And the recovery weeks are not a break. They're good workouts. You're working a lot of core, a lot of yoga, a lot of Kempo karate. But the variety in this program, that's what's driving me back to this. And yes, when I put the invitation out, I asked people, you can do any version of P90X you want, because some of you may not know, there was a P90X2 that came out with a lot more sports science put into the exercises. Performance type of exercises that athletes would do, that went into the construction of those workouts with P90X2. And then P90X3, they were realizing, we're gonna keep that P90X theme, that muscle confusion continuing to go on, and we're gonna shave the workout down to a half hour and make just the essential moves and exercises and make things as effective as we can within a very short amount of time. So there are people in our group doing P90X3. I think maybe one doing P90X2, and the rest of us are doing P90X. And I see a lot of other friends that maybe aren't a part of my group, but they're out there doing P90X again. And it's just it's like it's come back. It's like, bring it again. So it's been really, really cool to do that and to just dig back in with just a refreshed sense of energy. I don't have the lack of confidence right now with this program. I'm feeling very confident with it. So then I know that I can push myself. So one of the things I really want to do, I'm looking for areas that I can improve. And one of the areas I can improve is pull-ups. For the longest time, I was doing pull-ups without a chin-up assist. But over time, my shoulders and my shoulder strength just isn't quite there. So I'm using the pull-up assist, but my goal is to do several sets of or several reps of unassisted pull-ups. So I'll be toggling that back and forth. Right now, it's still, I'm doing as many reps as possible with the chin-up assist, but it's really, really cool. So that might be something that you want to consider. If you've never done P90X before, this might be a time to do it. One of the cool things is when I first, and I should show you this. I don't have it right with me, but my first set of P90X was maybe I'll put it up here in one of the videos here. Can you see it up here? Okay. I had them on VHS tape. The meal plan was within a 3-ring binder, and it was signed by Tony Horton. Totally cool stuff. And, the pages are falling out of it. And, while I don't have a VHS tape anymore, the cool thing is, how we've all moved from VHS tape to now DVD. Well, now everything's online streaming. And that's one of the cool things is no matter what version of P90X you might want to do, go in and get Beachbody On Demand. You get all of them. And we're not just talking about P90X. It's P90X, P90X2, and all the deluxe workouts. P90X Plus. That's what this podcast used to be called. I used to call it P90X Plus until Beachbody helped me change the word because they were coming out with a new program called P90X. Little P90X trivia for you and Power Blast podcast trivia. So, yeah, Beachbody helped me come up with the name Power Blast Podcast. P90X2 is in there. P90X3, all of the deluxe versions of those programs. Plus, prior to doing P90X2, when they were developing that, Tony was creating a bunch of workouts from his own home gym, and those are called P90X One-on-One series. And there were 3 seasons of those. All of those are in there. So, for those of you that maybe have DVDs and maybe you've lost a few of them along the way, just get Beachbody On Demand. You have access to all of those and all of the fun that goes along with it. So people in our group, they can do any of those workouts. And we have some people, I know of some people that are doing the P90X plus ones with Mark Briggs and Tracy Morrow. Shout out to you guys. Just so much fun. So in answering, should I do P90X again? Well, it was a definite yes. And I thank Autumn Calabrese and 80 Day Obsession for just renewing my enthusiasm for going and doing 1 hour workouts. Now, for those of you out there that are just saying, oh, I can't commit to 1 hour workouts, I can't do it. Well, get this. Back when I really wanted to get results and I needed to dig in, I was a full-time teacher and I drove an hour each day, one way to work. So I still scheduled in the time. It's all about priorities and how you budget your time and put things in there. And so I know that I've got a lot of friends that are doing P90X3 because that's what their time will allow, those priorities. P90X, I was about ready to say, no, I'm going to do P90X3. And then I realized, you know what? I am going to budget the time. I'm going to get up a little bit earlier. And that's what I did when I was a teacher. I got up and I was hitting the gym by 4:30 in the morning. I was done by 5:30, 5:45, and I was out the door by 6:15 and heading to work. But I got my workout done. I got it in. I didn't use the time as an excuse and say I couldn't do it. Yes, I went to bed a little bit earlier at night, so you have to decide yourself. But it really begins on how you prioritize your time. So a little thing about that to consider. Now, I am doing something a little bit different with this version of P90X. The P90X nutrition guide is like getting a degree as a nutritionist. It's complicated. And for those of you that have followed it, you know what I mean, and kudos to you for doing it. I decided to simplify during this round, and there's a brand new program come out. You might have seen last week's Power Blast podcast, episode 581 with Milan Jensen, and actually 578 with Ann Doval, talking about a new program called the 2B Mindset. And it just simplifies our mindset around eating and making food fun and easy and not restrictive and stuff like that. So I'm following that plan and that program, and it's not restrictive at all. And my goal of this program is just kind of lose a little bit of weight, chisel out the way in P90X style. And already that 2B mindset has had me dropping some really, really good weight in, I think, less than a week. And I'm already starting to see some of the definition come back that it's kind of been hidden a little bit for a little while there. And then while I'm doing P90X, I still feel my body's being fueled. I'm still doing Shakeology and recovery formula and doing my Energize for pre-workout stuff. But I'm tracking it with the 2B mindset, and I'm intaking a lot of water, which I think is really helpful in weight loss. And I think so many people overlook that part with that. So anyway, so there's my little soapbox today. Well, I really didn't get on a soapbox. I'm just kind of sharing my journey and give you food for thought, and to think about. Consider joining me. If you want to join me, you can email me, perrytinsley@gmail.com, and say, hey, I want to bring it with P90X. And you can choose any version you want and join our group. We use a little app to check in with each other, and if you're at a point where it's like, you know what, I'm not ready to commit to an exercise program, but this losing weight thing, I might want to do that, then message me about 2B Mindset, because that one's going to blow you away. I think we've got about 160 people in our group right now, absolutely rocking it. And I think in its first weekend of sales, I think about 60,000 units went off the shelf. So not to be taken lightly. And I've heard only amazing things of what people are kind of discovering, being more mindful about their eating. So you can message me on that. I so appreciate you for coming on here and for being a part of the Power Blast podcast community, for subscribing if you are a subscriber. And if you aren't, you could just go into your podcast app or on iTunes and do a search for Power Blast Podcast. It comes out in audio and video, so if you just want to listen in your car, way cool. Otherwise, there. I'm also on YouTube. at youtube.com/ptinsley, and or you could just search for Perry Tinsley Power Blast Podcast. Those will all come up. I so appreciate you, my friend. If you found this valuable, please share it with people. And if you do get into the podcast app and just do an honest rating and review, that would be awesome. It'll help reach more people. Have yourself an awesome week. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.